Hello students, this is CA Pragnesh Kanabar and this is the video for CA Inter Audit RTP. Yes, revision test papers November 23. Now, the video will be recorded in 100% English, but it will be simple English so that everyone in the country can understand. Now, when we go through this November 23 CA Inter Audit RTP, then we understand that in part 1 they have given some academic updates. Alright. After academic updates, obviously there are questions. In questions we have MCQs and descriptive questions. Now these academic updates are copy paste of what was there in November 22 and May 23 RTPs. Alright, but I'll just give you the references. Now in chapter 9, that is audit of items of financial statements. Alright, they have given one section on shares issued at a discount, which you would have done in your law subject also. Alright, of section 53, that company is normally not allowed to issue shares at discount, but there is always an exception in case of sweat equity shares. That is the only point that you need to remember over here, and what all auditor needs to check. Anyways, I have my summary notes on audit of items of financial statements. All the details and stuff you can find it in the description of this particular video. Then when we move ahead, alright, we have company audit points over here, but these are old amendments which have just been reprinted. In fact, for May 23 batch, I had a short one revision lecture, full marathon lecture of company audit. And over there, if you go to section 143, rights, duties and stuff, then in that case, you may find all of these points over there. Alright, so you can just go through it. Alright, it will be a very good revision for you, yeah, company audit marathon revision lectures. Then you have this punishment for non-compliance. Same again, old amendments which have just been reprinted. Alright, and this particular case study is nothing but in case of resignation, when auditor wants to file form ADT 3, what if he fails, then what are the penalties? That was wrongly printed in the module, so they have just corrected it and they have given it over here. But again, this all updated things have been discussed in my company audit marathon revision lectures. And if you have attended my lectures from May 22 onwards, alright, even May 22 batches onwards, alright, all of these updated things were discussed, so don't worry about it. I think anyone and everyone looking at this video is already aware about the updated stuff of Companies Act. But if you have any doubts, please refer my marathon revision lecture. It's the best revision lecture for company audit that you're going to find on YouTube. Now, when we move ahead over here, okay, there are case studies, 2 case studies that they have given. It's a good case study. All right. So case study, how do you approach? कैसे approach करते हो? How do you approach case study? All right. Now, when you look at the case study, the first thing that you should do is just look at just have a glance at the question. Just one time, just look at the question. Right? When you look at the question, you feel, you get an idea about what they are going to ask. All right. So, something regarding payment of term loan over here that they have covered. All right. Something regarding short-term borrowings, comparisons, and concept from standards. Again, concept from standards. All right. We move a little bit ahead, and again, what we are seeing over here is with basic concepts of standards. Basic concepts of standards. So mostly what we are seeing is basic concepts of standards and audit of items of financial statements that they have tried to cover over here. All right. Now let us look at the case study very quickly. So Karthik, a CA student undergoing his article training, is a part of an engagement team conducting statutory audit of MSC Auto Private Limited, a company engaged in manufacturing of automobile spare parts. The company has its manufacturing facilities located in Pimpri-Chinchwad industrial belt near Pune. It is a profit-making company and one of the most sought after by the banks in the area due to its good track record. The following is the extract of financial information taken from its pre-audit financial statements for the financial year 22-23. Alright. So it's a private limited company and the figures are not yet audited. Pre-audit financial statements for 22-23. Obviously 21-22 will be audited. And you have all the points over here. Okay. While going through the schedule of long-term borrowings and books of accounts, he finds that reduction of long-term borrowings of the company is on the account of full payment of term loan in the month of April 22. Alright. Okay, so as we see that there is a reduction over here because full payment has been done. That is what they are trying to tell you. Okay. However, he finds that charge in respect of above term loan in favor of bank. See, whenever you take a long-term loan against a property, for example, home loan, then you will have your documents of house with the bank. When you pay the full loan, obviously you should get back the documents, correct? Okay. However, he finds that charge in respect of above term loan in favor of bank is still subsisting on MCA portal beyond statutory period due to non-registration of charge satisfaction. So, basically when a company is going to get some loan, what it needs to do is it needs to register the charge, okay, that this properties, rights have been given to this particular bank. And when you repay the loan, you have to get the charge deregistered, that okay boss, the satisfaction has been done, even that needs to be registered. All right, but we see that the charge is still created and the documents have not been cleared even though the loan has been paid. He had read about assertions pertaining to balance sheet and income statement items. All right, assertions pertaining to balance sheet and income statement items. The concept of assertion should be very clear if you want to answer one of the case study which is given over here. All right, for example, when we go at the year end and when we check inventory whether it is there or not, what are we checking? Existence of inventory. So if you don't know the concept of assertions, then you can go to my marathon revision playlist which is in the description of this particular video. You can see the first video where I am discussing about SA basics. All right, and over there I have discussed the concept of assertions. He had read about assertions pertaining to balance sheet and income statement items. However, he was not sure about the nomenclatures, that means the terms assigned to assertions pertaining to balance sheet and income statement. Okay. The team had also attended physical inventory count of the company as at year end in accordance with SA 501. At the year end, that stock audit needs to be done. No? It's a manufacturing company. Besides, company's trade receivables. Manufacturing, trading, whatever it is, but a year end pay you will have to go for stock audit. Besides, companies' trade receivables have increased. Trade receivables have increased. My God, that means the money is not getting collected. From rupees 25,000 to rupees 60,000 in 22-23. His understanding is that increase in company's trade receivables as compared to last year signifies longer time taken by the company's customers to make their payments. Yes, which can disturb the whole cash flow cycle also. Considering substantial rise in revenue from operations of the company year under audit, team wants to ensure that revenues are not overstated, because when revenue increases from 100 to 200 and if trade receivable also increases, there is a great possibility that it could be a fake sale entry, that I sold goods for 100 but I have not yet collected the money. Then it could be a fake sale entry. All right, okay, so that is what they are worried about. Okay, so we have understood the case. First, keeping in view description regarding full payment of term loan in April 22 taken from a bank in past and non-registration of satisfaction of charge, which of the following statement is correct? The above fact may be disclosed by the company's management in its financial statements at its discretion, along with reasons as such disclosure would bring transparency. See, if the asset is mortgaged and whether that mortgage is clear or not, that is one of the required disclosure. It is not just dependent upon the will of the management. If they want to disclose, then they may disclose. ऐसा नहीं है. The above fact along with reasons is required to be disclosed by the company as per standards in auditing. Standards auditing will tell you how to do the audit. Disclosures and stuff is given under Schedule 3 and accounting standards. The above fact along with reasons is required to be disclosed by the company in its financial statements as per Schedule 3. This seems to be the proper option, but let us see the next one. The above fact is not required to be disclosed. No, that is not correct. All right. So that is why for the first case study, you have C as the answer. All right. The company, the first MCQ. The company's short-term borrowings have increased during the year 22-23. Oh, is it so? All right, short-term borrowings have increased. See, because they are not able to collect money from their trade receivables, so they will have to finance their production from somewhere. So short-term borrowings are increasing. So basically, the whole situation is showing a working capital crisis with the company. The company's short-term borrowings have increased as compared to the last year. One of the following assertion is not relevant to verification of short-term borrowing. See, basically whenever you are verifying balance sheet items, you need to check whether they are actually there or not, existence. You need to check whether what is the value. You need to check the rights and obligation. You need to check completeness, no omission, classification, proper accounting, presentation and disclosure. But when you look at the answer over here, which assertion is not relevant? These three are relevant. Occurrence is for P&L items, the transaction items. All right, that okay, this sales transaction has occurred. We don't say short-term borrowings have occurred. All right, so this is a P&L item assertion that needs to be verified. All right, occurrence. Next, as regards team's attendance at physical inventory count process of company's inventories in accordance with SA 501 is concerned, which of the following is not a relevant procedure? See, SA 501, when it talks about physical verification of inventory, you have to do the inspection, observation, test counting and all of that. So inspection needs to be done. Checking appropriateness of method employed for valuation of inventory. See, valuation of inventory needs to be checked, but SA 501 does not talk about it. SA 501 simply says that boss, go and verify whether the inventory is there or not as on year end, the existence and condition. Alright, so valuation of inventory is something which is not covered by SA 501. Other points are covered by SA 501 over there. The company's trade receivables have increased during. Actually, you can map the answer, C, B, V, and stuff that you can do on your own. The company's trade receivables have increased during the year 22-23 as compared to last year. Which of the following statement is the most appropriate regarding understanding of Karthik on this issue? Okay, so trade receivables have increased. The view of Karthik is correct and it has led to increased audit risk pertaining to valuation of trade receivables. Therefore, team needs to go through trade receivables aging schedule to confirm it. See, what Karthik is thinking is not incorrect. It's correct that because trade receivables have increased, that means the customers are not paying. If the revenue also has increased, then there is a possibility of overstatement of revenue. Alright. But let me just evaluate other options. The view of Karthik is incorrect. The view of Karthik is correct and it has led to increased audit risk pertaining to valuation of trade receivables. Therefore, team needs to perform direct confirmation procedures whether these trade receivables are actually there or not, or are they fake. Alright, so direct confirmation is a good one. The view of Karthik is correct and it has led to increased audit risk pertaining to valuation of trade receivables. Therefore, team needs to perform cut-off procedures to confirm it. See, let me tell you that over here in this whole case study, Karthik just feels that there is a significant longer time taken. So this is not the only problem. The problem is that the trade receivables could be fake. So what you are thinking is correct as a student, that what if the trade receivables are fake, we need to confirm and stuff. But genuinely speaking, what Karthik is thinking is not enough. Alright, so this is a very good question. Alright, so that is why Institute has gone with the answer that view of Karthik is incorrect. So I think students may have doubt over here because what Karthik is thinking is not enough. Alright, okay, what you are thinking is enough. So you don't have to think as if you are thinking. What Karthik is thinking is not enough. The team wants to ensure that revenues of the company are not overstated. This is good thinking by Karthik. Alright, that there is a possibility of revenue being overstated. Which of the following is not likely to be a relevant audit procedure in this regard? If I feel that they may have recorded fake revenues, you can go for obtaining confirmations. Alright, reviewing GST returns and their reconciliation with revenue stated in statement of P&L. Reviewing GST returns. So if I have recorded fake revenue, I would have paid fake GST. Alright, okay, I mean I would have paid extra GST. For 100 rupees revenue, if I have to pay 18 rupees GST, I'll pay it, no? Because I'm getting that chance to record 100 rupees revenue. Reviewing credit notes issued by the company post year end. Just a minute. Huh? Reviewing credit notes issued by the company post year end to my customers who have taken goods from me. If it's a fake revenue, then later on in the next year, I will show it as sales return, as if they have given the goods back to me, and I'll issue them a credit note. Alright, that is one point. Reviewing debit notes issued. Alright, debit notes, why will the company issue that? And that is why this is the point. Debit notes to buy, if I have purchased and if I'm going with a purchase return, alright, then I'll issue a debit note to them and they will give me a credit note. Alright, and I have to take money from you. Alright, so debit note wala point is not going to be helpful. Alright, so this is the point that is completely irrelevant. These three things, if you tally together, you may get a lot of information. Alright, so that is why this procedure is not likely to be relevant. But I liked these last two MCQs. I really liked it. Alright, next case scenario 2. CAX has accepted. Again, for the case scenario, just go through the questions once. Okay, so something about sampling risk, sampling chapter. If you have not done that, then you can first do it from a marathon revision lecture. Alright. Again, something seems to be. The whole case study seems to be from sampling only. And there is something about inherent limitations of audit, which is the basic concept of auditing. Alright. So we'll just go through the case study. CAX has accepted offer of conducting statutory audit of financial statements of DOS Solutions Private Limited. Keeping in mind requirements of standards auditing, including those relating to SA 300, he plans audit so that it is conducted in an effective manner. Okay, statutory audit he is doing. He knows that because of inherent limitations of an audit, there is audit risk in audit of financial statements, even though audit is properly planned and performed. Because of inherent limitations, there is an unavoidable risk, all right, that you may not end up, that you may not end up detecting all the material misstatements. So the statement is not fully correct, but fine. Considering nature of operations of the company, he has decided to use audit sampling in performing audit procedures. There are various areas of his testing where sampling is used. Of his testing, including testing controls over revenues, expenditure, assets and liabilities of the company. Besides, he has decided to perform test of details in respect of all of these areas of financial statements. Okay. While verifying, see, we test two things, controls and details, the system and the records. While verifying test of controls over purchase orders placed by the company based on selected audit samples. So basically he was verifying that the whole purchase system, whether it has been properly followed or not. Alright. He has erroneously concluded, that means auditor has wrongly concluded, that standard operating procedures for placing purchase orders are not being followed strictly. When in case of test of controls, if I wrongly conclude that controls are not effective, but let us say in reality controls are actually very good, alright, so they are effective, then that is called as which risk of sampling? That is a type 2 sampling risk. Right? That means where I will end up giving unnecessary too much effort. Alright. But at the end I will come to know that I was wrong. If there is a class of 100 students and I have questioned only 2 people, they give me wrong answer, I start investigating further and I realize, oh my god, that everyone else knew the answer. So I was coming to a wrong conclusion. So what happens in this kind of sampling risk, type 2 sampling risk, where you end up doubting too much, alright, than what was required, unnecessary doubts you are having on the population, right? Then in that case you end up performing more procedures, but at the end you come to know that you are wrong, because you will come to know, because you will verify more transactions. Alright. Okay. So further, while testing controls over wage payments, he has tested 20 sample wage sheets of different sections of the company and finds that one wage sheet has not been signed by authorized officer of the company. The rate of deviation was set by him at 3%. Listen to me very carefully. Alright. So what is this rate of deviation? Rate of deviation set by him, this is called as tolerance level, tolerable rate of deviation. That means this is the maximum error that I can accept. So when I am testing controls to the extent of 3% of the transactions, if the transactions were not authorized properly, I am okay with it. Alright. Now 1 out of 20 was not authorized properly. Alright. 1 out of 20 wage sheets we see not authorized properly. Then in that case, alright, if I see how much it comes to your percentage level, alright, so 10%, alright, is going to be 2. So this 1 turns out to be 5%. So it is above your tolerable rate of deviation. That means you need to take more effort over here, because it seems that there are some more deviations that you may not have detected. Alright. During the course of designing procedures, this sampling whole chapter is technical. I am just trying to give you some revision. Alright. If you want to go through sampling properly and no shortcuts, then please go through my revision lecture where you will find proper discussions. During the course of designing procedures for selecting samples for verification of trade receivables, he has decided to divide trade receivables balances into groups. Okay. When you divide the population into groups, alright, excess of 10 lakh, 7 lakh, 50 to 10 lakh and all of this, this is dividing population into groups, is stratification. Alright. He has planned to pick up different percentage of items from each of the above groups. Random sample is chosen from each group using random number table. So this is basically stratification and then stratified random sampling. Alright. Some of the trade payables of the company were outstanding since long time. Trade payables. Alright. He has decided to merely verify arithmetical accuracy of aging schedule and its reconciliation with books of accounts. My God, if trade payables are outstanding for a long time, that means these are very old balances. There is a big possibility that in earlier years they would have shown fake purchases just to overstate expenses, and then there is a creditor that is standing in the balance sheet. Alright, since a long time, this needs to be investigated further, and this much verification is not enough. Therefore, the nature of audit procedures, nature of financial reporting itself, and need for audit to be conducted within a reasonable period of time and at a reasonable period of cost all led to inherent limitations of audit. Inherent limitations may we have facto as inherent limitations. Financial reporting estimates, there is uncertainty. A, for audit procedures, there are practical and legal limitations. C and T is for cost and time constraint, and then there are some other matters where it is difficult to find out, the errors. Again, this is all revision going at a very fast pace because this is RTP. Alright, if you want a very detailed explanation, you can always go to a marathon revision lectures. But I'm at least ensuring that you are able to understand every single question and the answer. 2.1. The auditor has erroneously concluded that standard operating procedures for placing purchase order are not being followed strictly and controls are less effective than they actually are. Alright. Which of the following statement is likely to be true in this regard? Because you are worried too much, you may end up verifying more, and at the end you will come to right conclusion that was earlier you misunderstood things. Okay? It is a sampling risk, yes, and might lead to auditor expressing inappropriate opinion. No. At the end he will come to correct conclusion. It is a sampling risk and affects audit effectiveness. No. My audit will be effective because I'll verify lots of things, and then at the end my misunderstanding will be cleared. It is a sampling risk and affects audit efficiency. Yes, because I have earlier developed a misunderstanding that the controls are not effective than they actually are. I will take more effort, verify more. I will end up utilizing more resources. Efficiency is about utilization of resources. Effectiveness is about the end result. Alright, and that is the reason that this option is correct over here. Perfect. Okay, you can see the answer also. Okay. Auditor has tested 20 sample waste sheets and finds that one sheet has not been signed by authorized officer. See the kind of MCQs that they have asked. Agar aap case study nahi bhi padhte, even if you wouldn't have read the case study, still you will be in a good position to answer. But I just read it because I wanted to explain the concepts. It represents what? Tolerable rate of deviation. Very simple. Which method, see, for this you will have to read the case study. Which method of selecting samples for verification of trade receivables has been planned by auditor? Dividing the population into groups and then selecting random samples. Alright, so it is your stratification. Right? So as you can see over here, stratified sampling. Auditor has decided to merely verify arithmetical accuracy and reconciliation of aging schedule to the trade payables. The use of above audit procedure can lead to, see, let me tell you, he may not end up finding out the correct misstatements over there. Alright, so he is actually increasing his risk over there. But this is not a problem that his sample is not proper. This is some other problem. Alright, so it is non-sampling risk over here. When your sample is not proper, that is sampling risk. Your sample is proper, but because of some other reasons, if you derive wrong conclusions, then that is non-sampling risk. Keeping in view inherent limitations of audit, which of the following statement is likely to be most appropriate? Okay, so inherent limitations full concept that is there in chapter 1 audit basics. Due to inherent limitations of audit, auditor obtains conclusive evidence. How can we verify 100% of transactions? Due to inherent limitations of audit, auditor can be satisfied with less than persuasive, persuasive convincing evidence to hona chahiye. We cannot be satisfied with less than persuasive evidence. Due to inherent limitations of audit, subsequent discovery of material misstatements in the financial statements after audit. So I am suffering from unavoidable inherent limitations. So after my audit is over, there can be some detection of misstatements which I did not detect it. But if my audit was conducted as per SS, you cannot point a finger at me. Does not indicate a failure of audit. Proper statement. But let me see the next one also. Due to inherent limitations of audit, auditor can skip a difficult, time-consuming and costly procedure. No. Just because you are suffering from unavoidable limitations, you cannot say that, oh my God, there's a lot of heat today. I don't want to go for physical verification of inventory. That is your mood swing. All right. That is not allowed. So DTC cannot be an excuse when there is no valid alternative. All right. You cannot be satisfied with less than persuasive evidence just because of DTC. Okay. Difficulty, time and cost. So C point is proper over here. Then there are some general MCQs. Mr. A, auditor, and Mr. B, finance manager of XYZ Private Limited are friends. Okay. Auditor and finance manager are friends. But there is no such disqualification in Companies Act that you can't be a friend. Alright. Okay. Mr. A prepares audit report according to the wishes and directions of Mr. B. See, now this is not good. Alright. Friendship is different and this is different. Okay. Don't mix it. In this situation, which essential quality of auditor has been compromised? Obviously, your independence has been compromised over here. So I think this will be very simple. Students can understand this. I've always said independence mein, wo threats to independence is one of their favorite. Independence concept and threats to independence is one of their favorite for MCQs. Dash occurs when auditors form relationships with the client where they end up being too emotionally connected, too sympathetic to the client's interest. Familiarity threat. The persons with responsibility for overseeing the strategic decision of the entity. Overseeing the strategic decisions. And they are not involved in day-to-day execution, but strategic decisions. All right. And obligations related to accountability. They are the final answerable authority, are those charged with governance. Right? Which of the following is a risk that arises from the use of IT system? Come on, man. All EIS problems. Yeah. Direct data changes, backend changes, limited monitored access, adequate segregation of duties. One minute. Adequate segregation of duties and authorized access to data is a good thing, na? Right? Problem can be where they just change the system, change the data and stuff. All right. This can be a very big problem over here. Right? Then, fifth point. ABC Limited is engaged in manufacturing of electric two-wheelers. During the year, a customer has gone to court due to incident of fire in battery operated vehicle. Okay. So basically there is some case against the company. The damages are claimed at the tune of rupees 5 lakhs. The company insists that this incident was due to improper charging of battery and has nothing to do with manufacturing design of the vehicle. The company's lawyers advise that it is probable that company is not likely to be held liable. It is likely to be reflected under, see, if in legal case, if the chances of losing are more, then you go for provisioning. Otherwise, you just show it as contingent liability in the notes to account. So that is the point of contingent liability. I think it is very clear. All right. Okay. Now we go to descriptive questions where we have correct, incorrect, and the descriptive answers. State with reasons in short whether following statements are true or false. There is direct relationship between detection risk and the combined level of inherent and control risk. I will give the chapter number also so that you are able to connect with this and you can revise also. So chapter 4 risk assessment and internal control. From there the concept of audit risk has all of these discussions even in my revision videos. But inherent risk, what can go wrong and what if the controls fail? This can lead to risk of material misstatements in the financial statements. Alright. So if ROMM is high, that means there are more chances of errors. Right? Then auditor will be more alert. And because auditor will be more alert, he will perform more procedures. That means he will reduce his detection risk, his chance of failure. So if the higher the risk of material misstatement, auditor will take more effort and reduce his detection risk. All right? So there is no direct relationship. There is an inverse relationship. And therefore this statement is not correct, as you can see over here. Next, for auditor's opinion, reasonable assurance is an absolute level of assurance. I think every student of audit is aware that auditing is not a guarantee. It is a reasonable level of assurance, but not an absolute assurance. That means audit opinion is of high level reliability, but it is not a guarantee. All right, because auditing suffers from inherent limitations. See, in correct, incorrect, you have to write correct, incorrect, but you have to give good reasons also. All right, only then they are going to give you marks. If your correct, incorrect is proper, but if your reasons are nowhere near to what is required, then they will give you 0. Alright, so you need to give little bit of good reasons. Right? So over here, auditing suffers from inherent limitations. Internally generated goodwill can be recognized as an asset. I think you are more experienced over here. You know that cannot be recognized as generated. Only the purchased goodwill can be recognized. Alright, so that is the point over here. Sample size is not a valid criteria to distinguish between statistical and non-statistical approach. Now listen to me. Statistical is where you use computers and all the probability theory and stuff, alright, to select the sample. Where you actually make use of probability theories like random sampling, every unit has an equal chance of selection. Non-statistical is when you are dependent upon your judgment, professional experience, knowledge and stuff, alright. Now this will be dependent upon the nature of items that you are verifying, not based upon sample size. That I want to verify 10 transactions, so let me know, I will not switch on the computer and the software and stuff. Alright, I will not use probability theory, let me just apply my judgment. Oh, 1000 transactions, let me use probability theory. So sample size is not a valid criteria. It depends upon auditor's professional judgment and various circumstances. However, the main criteria is that sample should adequately represent the population. Alright, and these are all important points marked by me when I was teaching also, that was this is their favorite for correct or incorrect. The inclusion of an emphasis of matter paragraph in the auditor's report affects auditor's opinion. Wait, What is emphasis of matter paragraph? It is just given to highlight some disclosures in the financial statements which management has correctly recorded. It has nothing to do with my opinion. So this will nowhere impact opinion. In fact, if a financial item has been properly correctly recorded, and if I still feel that I want to highlight this item, then I show it as emphasis of matter paragraph. Alright. Like there is some in Reliance Industries Limited, let us say there is some legal case, but they have shown it properly in the notes to accounts. I still want to highlight it. I will use emphasis of matter paragraph. Okay. A perceived opportunity to commit fraud may exist when an individual believes internal control can be overwritten. If I feel that boss, this internal control can be defeated, there is no more watching over me, alright, then in that case that's a nice opportunity, right? Alright, so if you can see over till here, sample size not a valid criteria, that was correct, huh? Because it depends upon auditor's professional judgment. Right? So emphasis of matter paragraph will not impact the emphasis of matter paragraph affects the opinion incorrect. So I was explaining all the logic, correct, incorrect. I hope you were able to derive out of that. Okay. Then this is a proper opportunity. Right? Control environment can prevent, detect and correct a material misstatement. Listen to me. Control environment is just a work culture. Alright. Control environment is just a work culture. Now, if today Ratan Tata has set up an excellent work culture at Tata's, that does not mean that it can stop misstatements. For that, you need various other controls. Control environment is just an indirect control. Alright. Next, an unexplained decrease in GP ratio may result due to fictitious sales. If there is a fictitious sales, it will increase GP ratio without any explanation. So obviously I hope you were able to derive correct incorrect out of it, and I am explaining you the proper reasons also that you are supposed to write. Alright, after that there are brief answers. There are two ways of doing it. Either you complete this video or you just go through the revision lecture so that you are able to do this, but let me connect all the questions logically. An auditor who before the completion of the engagement is requested to change the engagement to one which provides a lower level of assurance should consider the appropriateness of doing so. Listen to me very carefully. This question is from essay 210, agreeing to the terms of audit engagement. So once you have signed the contract with the management, if they are requesting you to change the contract, the clause, then in that case we need to inquire whether there are valid reasons or not. If there are valid reasons, we will accept the change in writing. If there are no valid reasons, we will not accept the change. If they still insist us to accept the change, then in that case we have no other option but to withdraw. Alright. Beach mein you can always include that point whenever you have problems with management. We always include that point of discuss the matter with those charged with governance. So in my chapter 1 revision videos, alright, I have covered these points. Okay. Next, Mr. Z, auditor of the company Different and Capable Limited for the financial year 20 to 23. Explain to audit team members about objectives of independent auditor in accordance with relevant essay. Objectives is very basic. Essay 200 first chapter. Or what is the objective of audit? To express an opinion. Verify and express an opinion. No. Objective of audit is to obtain reasonable assurance. Let me first verify whether financial statements are free from British rule, material misstatements, and whether they are in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework. Then I will express an opinion and give a report and communicate as per my findings in the essays. That is the point that they have copy pasted over here. Explain those objectives. Right? Okay. Next, question number 3A. There are practical and legal limitations on auditor's ability to obtain audit evidence. Obviously, there are practical legal limitations. First of all, auditor has limited legal power. Secondly, audit is not considered like an investigation. Alright, and the whole standards auditing, the way the procedures have been designed, it is for a professional examination, not to detect a fraud. Alright. So obviously there are practical and legal limitations on auditor's ability to obtain audit evidence, and we have also explained it with examples. In case of certain subject matters, there are few such matters where it is very difficult to find out whether there is a misstatement or not. Right? Like, I have given a code word also for this. GF is related to in-laws. If my GF is related to in-laws, you will not be able to find out that. Okay. Jokes apart, G for going concern assessment. It is dependent upon future. Very difficult to find out that. Fraud involving senior management, very difficult to find out because they will manipulate everything. Related party transactions, holding subsidiary transactions and stuff. Ask Adani, it is very difficult to find out if there is an error over there. And then non-compliance with laws and regulations. Alright, if someone is not complying with laws and regulations, they will plan it very smartly, and hence it is very difficult to find out that particular point. Next, audit strategy, planning, programming and stuff. I say 300, 320, all of those points are there. You have been appointed as an auditor of MKP Limited for the first time. Discuss briefly the factors to be considered while establishing overall audit strategy. First time means it is an initial audit engagement. I have said this at the top of my voice, but students are not preparing, unfortunately, these chapters properly. When I talk about initial audit engagement, all right, and you are planning for it, the first thing is whether you really want to accept that client. All right? So, SA 220 client acceptance procedures. Second, you have to communicate with the previous auditor before you accept this particular audit, that whether there are any reasons for not accepting the audit. All right? So, communication with the previous auditor. Third, don't forget initial audit engagement. There is a separate SA 510, initial audit engagement verification of opening balances. All right. So these are the points that I need to consider in addition to normally whatever I consider. All right. So there are obviously certain factors to be considered for establishing audit strategy. There are 5 points, all right, which are normal. Okay. I'll tell you there are a couple of things over here. One is factors to be considered while establishing overall audit strategy. This is basic question. For this I have given a code word also to my team. Character of Raman's team resulted in resources. Alright. So what is the characteristics of the engagement? Reporting mein kya karna hai? What kind of resources I will require? Alright. What are the results of my initial activities? Alright. So the proper code word type answer hai, but with logics and stuff I've explained in chapter 2 audit planning programming strategy. So that is one point over here. And apart from that, in initial audit engagement, these are the points also to be considered. Alright. So their answer is a little bit short answer. Character of Raman's, basically reporting objectives. Team resulted in resources. Okay, that particular point, and a very repeatedly asked examination question. Audit plan includes nature, timing and extent of audit procedures to be performed by engagement team member. Audit plan के अंदर क्या क्या include होता है? Nature, timing, extent of risk assessment procedure as per SA 315. Nature, timing, extent of further audit procedures as per SA 330. Nature, timing, extent of other audit procedures as per other SAs. Alright. So very simple. Those 3 points are over here. Next, in establishing overall audit strategy, the auditor shall ascertain the reporting objectives of the engagement. So this is, this particular point, only on this particular point they've asked as an examination question. I've taught this in my lectures, that these 5 points of audit strategy factors to be considered, every single point can be asked as a separate examination question. Alright. So they've asked this point as a separate examination question, ascertaining the reporting objectives. Alright. So over there, when I talk about ascertaining the reporting objectives, which entity I'm auditing, what is the timetable for completion, I need to ask management what kind of expectations you have in the reports. In addition to audit report, what are the other reports that I'm supposed to give? Right? These are the points to be considered over here. I understand this is a little bit heavy, but if you go through my revision lecture, you will not find it heavy. Alright? But my revision lectures are not like in 5 minutes you can understand everything. Alright? You have to spend some time. My revision lecture is also detailed revision. Audit documentation and audit evidence. Written representations are to be provided by the management to the auditor when requested. So written representation is a written document signed by the management addressed to the auditor considering various matters, where we ask management to confirm that they have fulfilled their responsibilities. We ask management to let us know that to confirm that they have fulfilled the responsibilities as agreed in the letter of engagement. So it acts as a supporting evidence also for various matters. If management is not giving us such written representations, then obviously we will develop great doubts over them, and it can also lead to disclaimer of an opinion. This is a full essay that you need to know if you really want to answer this particular point. All right. So pura logically they have taken it up and they have answered it. Pura logically they have taken it up and they have answered it. All right. Question number 6B. Audit documentation refers to record of 3 items. See, when I talk about documentation, it is a record of 3 things. Procedures performed, evidence obtained, conclusions derived. I repeat, procedures performed, evidence obtained, conclusions derived. Explain stating clearly the objective and nature of audit documentation. Objective, purpose, nature of documentation. We want a documentation which can act as a basis for my report. We want a documentation which can act as an evidence that audit was performed in accordance with standards on auditing. Yes, sir, when you revise things, you come to know. That is why this is RTP. Alright. Okay. Question number 7A. Auditor shall assemble audit documentation in an audit file and complete the admin process for assembling the audit file. Now, what is assembly process? That boss, after when the audit is near completion. Alright. After audit is signed, audit report is signed. After that, we need to combine all the documents, neatly file it, segregate it. All of that is assembly. Alright. Needs to be completed within 60 days from the date of auditor's report, where it is written. SQC1 writes it. So assembly ka process ke upar they are asking you to write one particular answer. Alright, some sorting, cross referencing, all of those things are done during assembly time. So when you read the answer, you will come to know what I have said now. Next, 7B. T Limited has used the services of an expert for the purpose of physical verification of his inventory, which is appearing in the financial statements of the company at rupees 75 crores. Discuss the broad parameters that you would take into consideration while deciding about using the work performed by management's expert in physical verification of company's inventory. Now, when you are using the work of a management's expert, that is SA 500 basically, then in that case, you are worried about whether that work is adequate for your purpose, whether the findings are reasonable, relevant, all right, what kind of data this person has taken, and whether this person has the competence, capability to do the job. So all of this understanding you should take. Only after that you can rely, na? So you'll find all of these points. I am broadly explaining you the answer over here. Dekho. 3 points very clear. Or yes, these things I've discussed very quick, in a very quick manner in my revision lectures, if you go through it. But I'm happy that they have given a very detailed RTP which can actually test the student whether they are aware about the concepts or not. SA 500 audit evidence explains what constitutes audit evidence in an audit of financial statements. Now, when we talk about audit evidence, we obtain audit evidence from accounting records and other information. What is accounting records? Anything and everything which helps you in preparing books of accounts. Invoice, ledger, contract, checks, bank statement, all of this is accounting records. Other information supporting accounting records, MOA, AOA, minutes of meeting, all right. Not accounting records, but it obviously supports the accounting records, all right. Okay, so those kind of points. They want you to give the examples and stuff of that. Accounting records, other information which supports the accounting records. Chapter 4, risk assessment and internal control. Obtaining an understanding of the entity and its environment establishes a frame of reference within which auditor plans the audit and exercises professional judgment throughout the audit. Explain by giving examples. Boss, for understanding the entity and its environment, there are 2 questions in the module. What do we need to understand and why? Alright. If you see the question, this is not the what part. They are asking you the why part. Alright. That how it will help you. Why you want to obtain understanding of the entity and its environment. It will help me to decide in which areas I need to focus. It will help me to decide what kind of audit procedures I need to perform. It will help me to decide which items are material. It will help me to decide whether I need an expert or not. It will help me to decide the ratios, trends, analysis, all right, that are happening through this, that are there observed in this entity through many years. I also give a code word to students like somewhere, all right. So it will help me to decide special areas, audit evidence that I require, materiality, whether experts' help is required or not, evaluate, then obviously risk of material misstatement, the things where it can go wrong. Lots of things it will help you to decide. All right. Analytical procedures performed as risk assessment procedures may identify aspects of the entity which auditor was unaware. Now listen to me. Analytical procedures performed as risk assessment procedures. Analytical procedures is ratios, comparisons, trend analysis. So let us say profit of last few years, it was declining, but manager remuneration was increasing. This we observed since last 3 years. That means obviously there is something wrong going on over here. Okay. So analytical procedures used as risk assessment procedures, right, will evaluate the financial information, also the operations, right, of the last few years, trend analysis. It will help you to find out the unusual ratios, trends and stuff. But let me tell you, can I say it is also possible that management is increasing the managerial remuneration so that the managers are not disheartened and they continue with the entity even though the profits are declining. That means if you just go by analytical procedures, it can give you a broad indication of the risk, but it cannot actually help you to exactly understand whether things are going wrong or not. For that you need to conduct inquiries and you need to add up to your analytical procedures. That is what is discussed over here. Alright, first analytical procedures, will help you in identifying unusual ratios, trends and stuff. So all of that is discussed. And then they are saying that analytical procedures can only give you a broad indication of what is going wrong. If you actually want to analyze what is going wrong, you need to conduct inquiries. Alright. Okay, that is the point over there. This with very light-hearted examples and stuff I have explained in my lectures, but this is RTP, I would like to keep it short. Risk of material misstatement refers to the risk that financial statements are materially misstated prior to audit. Barabar, na? Risk of material misstatement means something has gone wrong. I mean, something can go wrong in the financial statements. But as an auditor, I don't have any role in that. Employees and the management may have committed something wrong over here. So risk of material misstatement refers to the risk that financial statements are materially misstated prior to audit. Discuss the levels at which it exists. Risk of material misstatement exists as 2 levels. At assertion level and at overall FS level. Assertion level. What can go wrong in individual transactions, balances, and disclosures? Like if there are manual records, inventory misappropriation is a chance. ROMM at overall FS level. If the company is going to apply for listing, then it may manipulate the overall financial statements. So RMM exists at two level: assertion level, some analysis which can help you to understand, what can go wrong in individual TBDs, and accordingly you can plan your further procedures. And RMM at overall FS level, which will help you to understand, such analysis where pervasively many items in the financial statements could be materially misstated. All right. So those points they have covered. All right. Now, Chapter 5, Fraud and Responsibilities of Auditor in this regard. Fraudulent financial reporting often involves management override of controls that otherwise may appear to be operating effectively. Illustrate any three techniques. This is very simple. Right? Tell me everyone, how will management actually manipulate? By fake entries, fictitious entries, by altering the records and stuff. All right. Then by adjusting the estimates. All right. Adjusting the estimates, assumptions, changing them. All right. Then by intentional omissions. Right? That is what they will do. Now, what else they will do? Right? So, FIO, there are lots of code words that you can develop over here. Fictitious entries, assumptions, omitting the recognition, omitting, advancing, delaying, not disclosing the facts, intentionally doing some complex transactions. All right. Altering records. I give my students the code over here is fictitious, estimates, recognition wala fraud, altering. All right. So conceal, hide, complex, fera used for shadi. So conceal, complex, fera. All right. You can use that code over here. Write the circumstances that indicate possibility of fraud due to problematic or unusual relationship. Problematic or unusual relationship between auditor and the management. Just give me the example. Circumstances means give me the examples. Management is denying the records. Management is not allowing the auditor to talk to the employees. Management is restricting the records, putting some restrictions, not sharing the data. All right. So all of that comes under problematic relationship. Denial, delay, time pressure. Look at this. Management's unwillingness. Right? All of that comes over here. That shows that there is some problematic relationship between auditor and the management. Correct? Okay, and that can indicate possibility of fraud. Audit in an automated environment. Your EI subject, it is your favorite. All right. When a business operates in a more automated environment, we are likely to see several business functions and activities happening within the systems. List down the business functions and activities happening within the systems. There are so many business functions and activities happening within the systems. Through the systems यार calculation हो जाता है, processing हो जाता है, recording हो जाता है, operations हो जाता है, lots of things that can happen with the systems. Right? So it was just different way of asking. Otherwise answer is very simple. Right? Okay. List the points that an auditor should consider to obtain an understanding of the company's automated environment. This is one of their favorite questions. Right? Understanding of company's automated environment. What are their IT systems? All right. Whether it is in-house, whether it is packaged software. Then ये architecture version कौन सा use करते हैं. I always ask students to remember 3-4 points out of this. All right. So you can just create a code word of IT system. A location point is fine. What is their architecture version? All right. User interface. So VIA. So you can just remember 3 points, or VIP also, if you remember it is fine. I don't want you to remember every single point, but at least 3-4 points can do the job over here. Okay. Now the next, audit sampling. There is a long question, but if you just go through the question, at the end, auditor feels that his sampling has not given him the right conclusions. Then what he can do? There are two things. So out of 100, if you have verified 25 and you're not happy with the results, you feel that you are missing out on something, then for the balance 75, you can ask management to investigate whether there is a misstatement or not. But obviously, you may not be able to trust the management. Then in that case, you can tailor the nature, timing, extent of your procedures, and you can take additional sample. If you're not satisfied with, then take additional effort. Sometimes answers are very simple. So first they have given that in SA 530, auditor needs to analyze the results of sampling and whether it has given you enough conclusion about the entire population. If not, then look at this, request management to investigate further, or you modify your nature, timing and extent of your audit procedures. Alright, has a simple area, baba. Auditor is required to project misstatements for the population to obtain a broad view of the scale of misstatements. This is a very technical answer, but I will try to explain. Let us say if there is a sales of product X and if there are 1000 transactions, all right, your sample has 100 transactions. Out of 100, in 2 transactions, you saw that they were done at a very low price, at a very unusual price, unusual terms, all right. Then in 90 transactions, you did not find any error. In 8 transactions, you saw that GST in July month, all 8 out of July month, was incorrect. Okay? So listen to me. When you inquired about this 8, you came to know that in July there was a rate change of GST and company had forgotten to update it. Alright, that means in this whole population of 1000 transactions, the whole July month is wrong. From 1st August they had updated. In July month, let us say there were 100 transactions. I repeat, in July month, let us say there were 100 transactions. This 8 is for sure representing this 100. I'll keep it 200, 100 and 2 बार हो जाएगा. Let us say in July month there were 200 transactions. ये जो 8 है, for sure it is representing this 200. This 8 tells you that this whole bunch of 200 had wrong GST. Alright. So this is something that is representing the population. Such kind of misstatements are called as non-anomalous misstatements. Non-anomalous क्यों बोलते हैं? This is not representing the population at all. Only such 2 instances happened, and that was also very unusual. So based upon this 2, I cannot conclude on this 1000 or this 200. This is an anomaly, something unusual or strange. So in your friends group also, if you have someone unusual or strange, you can call that person as an anomaly, not representing a group. So what I'm trying to tell you is that when I'm projecting misstatements, that sample में इतना गलत है, then what can be the misstatements across the whole population? If I'm projecting that, I cannot just simply cross multiply. I have to divide the misstatements into 2. What is where there is an anomaly, something unusual, strange, not representing the population, and what is non-anomalous means something that is representing a part of the population or the population. Then non-anomalous can be projected to the population to get some approx misstatements, but this cannot be cross multiplied or projected to the population. That is exactly what they are giving over here. Now when you read the answer, you will be through with it, don't worry. Chapter 8, analytical procedures, is all about ratios, comparisons, trend analysis, when you use it for testing stage, completion stages and stuff. Flower Limited presented its financial statements for financial year 22-23 to its auditor for expressing an opinion thereon. The auditor, while carrying out audit, started comparing various items of P&L of the year under audit with previous financial year. Why are you comparing? To see whether there is some kind of major difference, deviation. If there is too much of increase or decrease, that can be questioned. Alright. That is why we compare. They just want you to logically understand why you are comparing and tell them that why you are comparing. This is a very practical answer. You can't buy art this. So just read the answer once. Alright. Next question. When designing and performing substantive analytical procedures, and when you use ratios, comparisons for testing stage like salary versus number of employees, GST, turnover relationship, either alone or in combination with test of details as substantive procedures in accordance with SA 330. The auditor shall determine the suitability of particular substantive analytical procedures for the given assertions, taking into account of assessed ROMM and test of details, if any, for these assertions. My God. Listen to me. This is a very technical point. And I've explained this to my students. That when you are designing analytical procedures, you need to think about कि ratio comparison, will it be suitable for this particular item? For example, existence of inventory. To actually understand whether inventory is there or not, whether it exists or not. You cannot just verify that by analytical procedures. You'll have to go to the godown and visit over there. Are you getting my point? So, boss, I need to decide with the suitability. And it depends upon assertion, the nature of assertion. Like existence of inventory. I cannot verify by analytical procedure. But if I am verifying valuation of inventory, that I can do it by performing analytical procedures. Are you getting my point? Yes. So, okay. So that is what they are trying to say over here. One point. Second, risk of material misstatement. If you believe that risk of material misstatement is high, like related party transactions, then you can't be just satisfied with Analytical procedures. Okay, chalo by related party, I've done my ratio analysis, I'm done with that. No. Please perform more procedures. So if ROMM is high, you cannot rely too much on analytical procedures. In fact, you will have to perform more other procedures. And then test of details. See, in some items, when you are conducting test of details, verifying records and stuff, you may not even need ratios. Alright. But okay, I'm verifying the documents, valuation, I'm doing everything. I may not need the help of ratios. Sometimes you may need the help of ratios and analytical procedures, trends and stuff. Like when I'm verifying debtors, I'll verify the credit sales and all of that. But debtors pending since 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, 9 to 12 months will be helpful for me if I want to understand the provision for doubtful debts. Oh. So sometimes analytical procedures are performed along with test of details. Sometimes they are not performed. It all depends upon how effective it will be. So you have to basically focus on 3 points. The effectiveness of the analytical procedure along with test of details, the risk of material misstatement. If it is high, we cannot just rely on analytical procedure, and you have to discuss the assertions with examples where you cannot apply analytical procedures and where you can apply. So it's a long answer, but these are the 3 points that are covered in the answer. Broadly इतना याद रख सकते हैं बच्चे कितना याद रख सकते हैं. Alright, so this is the major thing that you need to remember. Okay, chapter number 9, you are almost out of standards. That there is one just audit report topic, alright, on standards. So I'll just finish audit report topic chalo, so that standards का पूरा खत्म हो. Chapter 11 audit report. Communicating key audit matters in the auditor's report. Say key audit matters, mandatory concept for audit of listed entities, the matters which are communicated with those charged with governance. Out of those matters, we try to find out which matters are of utmost significance, and we will write it in key audit matters. So communicating key audit matters in the auditor's report is in the context of auditor having formed an opinion on the financial statement as a whole. Communicating key audit matters in the auditor's report is not considered as a substitute or alternative for a number of important items. See, just because I'm writing in Reliance Industries Limited, I'm writing estimation of oil and gas reserves in my key audit matters, Reliance cannot start deleting their notes to accounts. Yes, sir. So key audit matter cannot substitute disclosures required by applicable financial reporting framework. Let us say on overvaluation of inventory, if I have given a qualified opinion, and I am also explaining that in key audit matter, that does not mean that I can stop giving qualified opinion. Boss, if there is an overvaluation of inventory, I need to modify my opinion. So key audit matter cannot substitute modified opinion. If there is a material uncertainty over going concern, there is a separate paragraph for that. MURG, material uncertainty related to going concern paragraph. I may explain that uncertainty in key audit matters, but that does not mean that I can eliminate that particular paragraph, because MURG, material uncertainty related to going concern paragraph, has been specifically created for key audit matters. Alright? And key audit matter is just my statement of fact. It is not a separate opinion on individual items. I express opinion on only one thing, and that is the financial statements of the entity. So there are 4 points over here, alright, that you can write. I think they would have written 3 or 4. Answers to देखना बंद कर दिया मैंने, because I'm explaining all the logics and everything to you, and then you can just read answer once. You can also pause and read the answers once. Right? ये audit report में, let us see how many points that they have covered. 4 points, as I told you. Next, what an auditor should state in basis for opinion section. See, after the opinion, there is one basis for opinion. There we have to write, audit was done as per standards on auditing. Auditor, as an auditor, we have followed the ethical requirements. Auditor has fulfilled the responsibilities as given in auditor's responsibility paragraph. And we believe that evidence available with us is sufficient and appropriate. So we give a reference to essays, we give a reference to code of ethics, we give a reference to auditor's responsibility paragraph, and we say that we have obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. But when auditor modifies the opinion, obviously along with that, he'll also have to give the reasons. And in those reasons, auditor will have to state that what went wrong, whether it is an amount or a disclosure. And when auditor gives a modified opinion like qualified adverse disclaimer, the basis for opinion का title change हो जाता है. And instead of basis for opinion, you have to write basis for qualified opinion, adverse opinion, or disclaimer of an opinion. So all of those points, alright, that they have given, alright, over here. Okay. Chapter 12, bank audit. Your firm has been appointed as branch auditor of SP Bank Limited. Discuss about primary evidence you will look into while carrying out verification of advances. अरे बाबा, see non ऐसे topics अभी चालू हो गए, bank audit खत्म कर देता हूँ. Audit of advances, documentation, sanctioning, provisioning, non-performing assets, valuation, securities taken, lots of points that you can verify, and you can write it over there. TEP Industries Private Limited, a company engaged in obtaining rice from paddy, is enjoying a cash credit facility against hypothecation of paid stocks and book debts. See, basically what is this cash credit facility? This is one of their all-time favorite. Right? What is cash credit facility? That boss, I want some basic short-term borrowings for financing my working capital requirements. I have my current account with you. Alright, please allow me to overdraw that, or please give me a separate limit through which I can withdraw the amounts. Alright, so that is my cash credit facility drawing power. Okay. From NMV Bank Limited for rupees 4 crores. Okay. The letter sanctioning the above credit facility stipulates margin of 25% on stocks and 40% on eligible book debts up to 90 days. What is margin? So if 100 is my eligible value, then minus 25, 75 is the only value that will be considered by the bank. That is margin. While preparing a stock statement as on 30th June 2023, you know that when it comes to this drawing power and stuff, it keeps on getting revised, based upon the latest stock statements and latest current asset statements. While preparing stock statement as on 30th June 2023, the accountant of the company calculates value of stocks for rupees 5 crores, including rupees 1 crore of rice which was lying in a low-lying godown and was completely damaged during recent floods. Oh my god. So damaged goods hai. So value of goods is only 4 crores. Debtors outstanding as on 30th June 23 are rupees 3 crores, including rupees 50 lakhs outstanding for last 6 months. Okay. 3 crores में से तो 0.5 तो minus करो भाई, because it is outstanding since lot of time. 2.5 debtor value. Trade creditors are outstanding as on rupees 2 crores. Oh my god. That means this much amount of goods I have purchased but I have not paid to the creditors. So those creditors can always ask the goods, no? If I don't pay it, so 4 minus 2, actually the stock for which I have paid the amount, alright, is only 2 crores. Okay, so this is stock, this is debtors. He calculates DP as on 30th June 23 for 3.3 crores. Alright, is he correct? So this is the actual value of the stock which will be considered by the bank. Now, if you put 25% margin, then you have to minus that and then you will come to the amount. And this is the value of debtor which will be considered. If you put 40% margin, you will come to the amount. So this is the RTP video. I am keeping it short. Alright. But you will see 2 crore पे margin 25% लिया है and drawing power for stocks they have calculated 1.5 crore. Then 2.5 crore पे margin 1 crore लिया है 40% and this is 1.5 crore. So 1.5 is 3 crores. So 3.3 crore is not correct amount, and as of now we will be able to utilize only 3 crores based upon the drawing power that has been calculated. This is always their one of their favorite. Alright. Next, audit of different types of entities. Public money should not be utilized for the benefit of a particular person. See, this is the principle of propriety, that public money should not be utilized for the benefit of a particular person. Right? But there are some exceptions to it. If there's a court order and it says that to a particular community you'll have to pay, you'll have to pay. To a particular person you have to pay, you'll have to pay. Acha, let us say in Mumbai, BMC, Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation, spends a lot of money during festivals. It could be Ganpati festival, it could be Eid festival. Now what are you going to say? That why are they spending this money? They shouldn't spend this money because it is for a particular community. Or it is a tradition going on since a lot of time. Alright. So it is fine. Let them spend that money. Alright. You cannot question that particular thing. Let us say I am the owner. Alright. I'm not owner, I will not say owner, sorry. I am the management of a government entity. And let us say my children just entered the canteen, they took one ice cream from there. What you will do? You will suspend me. So if the amount is very insignificant, you cannot say that boss it is being spent for a particular person. And let us say if I have traveled here and there, alright, and for that I am taking some traveling allowance. You cannot say it was spent for a particular person. I was traveling for the entity's purpose. Alright. So these are the exceptions, alright, to that particular point. Okay. Very logical set of exceptions. But ekdam andar se pucha question. Right? Okay. State 6 important advantages of audit of accounts of partnership firm. That I know you will clear the advantages of audit. So that is fine. Alright, wo to audit ke normal advantages you write, then it is okay. We come to your favorite chapter, company audit. Provisions regarding appointment of auditor. First auditor of a government company, non-government company, you know that appointed by CAG, either appointed by board of directors, either CAG fails then BOD fails then members, either BOD fails then members. See, company audit, I know students are very much comfortable with it. So while discussing RTP video, I don't want to be a hero discussing all company audit provisions. You can always go through my marathon revision lectures and go through that. Alright. Subsequent auditor of a government company and a non-government company. Yeah, appointment provision is both clear. You can go through it. I am worried about this particular question. As per section 143 subsection 3 clause J, there is a long list of reporting requirements. Hence, I request please go through my marathon revision lectures and you will understand every single reporting requirement. But this is one of their favorite. As you can see, it was also printed in the amendment portion. State the matters to be included in the auditor's report as per Caro 2020 regarding Nidhi company. Nidhi company clause 12, whether Nidhi company is complying with its net own fund requirements and their minimum liquidity solvency ratio that they have to keep, right? Then transactions with related parties, whether they are clause 13, whether it is in compliance with Companies Act, and also whether the disclosures have been given as per accounting standards. So in inter CA, they will ask you Caro 2020 applicability, or they will ask you some reporting requirements. All right, it all depends upon how nicely you are, memorizing those clause numbers. All right, all the shortcuts, coding, wording, and stuff you will find on my Telegram channel. Chapter number 9, audit of items of financial statements. So Messrs. MP and Company Chartered Accountants have been appointed as auditors of LMP Private Limited. The partner of the firm asks the audit assistant to carry out examination in depth. Examination in depth is where you don't verify large number of transactions, you verify few transactions, but you will verify it from start to end properly. All right, that is examination in depth. All right, payment made to creditor, every single point cover कर लेने का. Payment made to creditor, so that person would have given some invoice, goods received note, payment, or payment authorization, cover every single stage. You have to keep on writing. As an auditor, how will you verify hire purchase transaction in case of entity engaged in the business of hire purchase? What is the business of hire purchase? ये audit of different types of entities में last में cover करता हूँ मैं hire purchase. Now what is this business of hire purchase? So this X company, alright, let us say it is a hire purchase company. So let us say Y wants to buy an asset, alright. So, but Y wants it on hire purchase. So X will buy that asset first and then give it to Y on hire purchase. So obviously when we talk about hire purchase, आपको accounting आता है ना, hire purchase installments, cash payment, down payment, alright. If they do not pay the installments timely, then goods will be repossessed. ये सब में check whether करके you can finish off the answer. Junior accountant of a limited company has not separated transactions of one period from those in the ensuing period. See, transactions should be recorded in the correct accounting period. That is called as cut-off procedures. As an auditor, state the correct procedure to be followed and the areas in which it can be applied. Cut-off procedures is for all the P&L items. Cut-off procedures is also important to understand current asset and current liabilities, because I need to know that what belongs to this accounting period and what does not belong to this accounting period. Right? So that is a good answer if you can just go through it. ये कंपनी ऑडिट का आंसर्स है. हाँ, ये एग्जामिनेशन इन डेप्थ, हायर परचेज and cut-off procedures. Good answer that they have given over here. But mostly all P&L items they will cover, because that is the most important thing for cut-off, right? Transactions should be recorded in the correct accounting period. Done? Done. Okay. So we are through with the whole RTP. I hope that I have made your job easier, and if you feel that you are not comfortable with the subject, then I really request, please go to my revision lectures, especially on standards on auditing, which will fill you completely with confidence. And if you still feel that, boss, I am lost somewhere, then you please see my SOS plan video for CA Inter Audit, and that will help you to understand what are the areas which you can focus and how you can cover audit subject in short. Thank you so much. All the best.